Welcome back to IGN Live at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm Damon Hatfield. This is Greg Miller.
Hi, Damon.
In just a moment, we're going to be talking about The Conjuring. If you want to be part of the conversation, tweet your questions at IGN, hashtag SDCC. Greg, you and I like horror movies.
Yeah, I won't lie to you, Damon. This movie is the reason I don't like Comic-Con this year. Because if we weren't at Comic-Con, we'd be going to see it at midnight, eating our popcorn, having fun.
I know, yeah. Our mandate will have to wait. Here to tell us all about The Conjuring is Lily Taylor.
Why can't you guys see it tonight? I'm going to see it tonight.
You're going to see it tonight?
Well, if that's an invite.
Okay.
If we're going together, we can blow off this IGN Comic-Con
We got to
party.
see it at Comic-Con with this crowd.
I will totally come.
I got to go. It's so scary.
Is it?
Yes, it's such a good movie.
Now, IGN's Chris Tilley also joins us, and you've seen the movie
Yeah,
already.
I can testify.
Bastard.
It's the first movie that's given me nightmares in about 2 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Okay.
That
That's
is
serious.
awesome.
Freaked me out.
So, friends, somebody at home, tell us, or if somebody at home doesn't know much about it, you guys play off each other. What is it all about?
Tell us about the story.
Well, I mean, it's based on a true story, which is why it goes up a notch in terms of fear. And basically, a really nice family goes into this house. They're trying to move away from the city into the country, and things get really bad fast. So there's a really high place to fall from.
Oh, great. That's good.
Yeah,
I'm glad it's
yeah.
happening to a nice family.
Yeah,
They're just,
yeah.
trying to get out, to get some fresh air, get a whole bunch of ghosts in your house.
Yeah, I guess it's a haunted house movie.
Yeah.
And I think if you're a horror fan, the thing to know is that it's directed by James Wan, who's responsible for Saw and Insidious, and who is just getting better and better at this kind of material.
Yeah, I was just saying that even during the course of the filming, I saw him grow as a filmmaker. He hit it out of the park.
Now, so Saw is often described as torture porn, right? But that wouldn't be an accurate description of The Conjuring, would it?
Not at all. I mean, and James loves what he did with Saw, but I think Saw is just one little aspect of who James is and what he's capable of.
A terrifying aspect of him.
Yeah, yes, we all have those little shadow
Sure.
parts. But this represents, I think, more his ability as a filmmaker.
Yeah, this isn't a gore movie. It's quite an old-fashioned ghost story. It's kind of, think of The Innocents or The Haunting. It's that kind of movie. It's very old school. There's not blood and gore in it, but there are really chilling scares in it.
Yeah, and there's no CGI. It's all old school special effects, and it's all imagination.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So now, being based on a true story, how did you approach it? Did you try to reach out to people who knew these people or the real people, or?
No, because the writers had done all that research, so everything that was in the script was there for a reason, and then whatever wasn't there was not there for a reason.
Yeah.
So for me, I needed to do more of like YouTube exploration of exorcisms. Which I don't recommend.
You are
I
way
really
braver
don't,
than
man.
me.
Man, I don't, but I had to. And then I found through them that those tapes that I needed to scream. So then I did YouTube, how do you scream? And then all these guys and some women say, this is how you scream. And then they lead you to this woman who can teach you how to scream. So I ordered her CDs. And that was because it was 7 days. The exorcism stuff took 7 days. And the thing with those subjects who are being exorcised, their scream is in a whole other realm. They all scream in the same kind of way.
Weird.
And I wouldn't have had vocal cords.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much the most intense sequence in the film is the exorcism. So what was that like to shoot? I mean, you look like you were in physical pain.
You know, I'm physical, and I know how to do things, and I knew it was like a marathon, so I had to sort of train in a way and eat right, drink enough, and so on. I love the stunt guy, Joel. He knew I was up for things. I was fine. I just loved it.
DTE, down to be exercised.
So do you believe in this sort of thing? Do you believe in ghosts?
I'm agnostic, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with saying I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know either.
Did you worry about going into the film being agnostic? Did you think maybe I'll be swayed one way or the other, especially watching all these exorcist videos and trying to see how people scream?
Well, I believe people can get possessed. I would just take them first to a mental hospital before I'd go to the Vatican.
true.
Do you know
That's
what I
the
mean?
first step.
Damon's always trying to take me there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Greg, you're a pretty loud person. I think you're missing a business opportunity to make how to be loud CDs.
I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch this stuff and figure out it's all right in here in the diaphragm. You get up loud like that, barrel chested, eat some wings. I think.
So what scares you then, Lily?
Well, one thing I was thinking about, because in the first half of the movie I was scared, and then the second half I was scaring. So in the first half, I think I was thinking about when I had lost my kid, and that was probably the scariest I've ever been.
You get the kid back?
I sure
Good.
did.
Oh, that was going to be
Good to know.
Hallelujah. And then we came up with a system. Yeah.
How long was your child lost?
You know what? It was 3 minutes, and it felt like
Jeez, yeah.
time was relative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first time I saw footage from this movie was at New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. Like, the crowd was responding to it like they were seeing a superhero clip. or something like that. And the release date was moved. It's coming out in the middle of the summer, in the midst of all the blockbusters, which horror films don't normally. Why do you think that is? Why do you think this one is proving so effective?
Well, I think that feeling at Comic-Con was, first of all, a yay for, like, okay, finally we're being treated with respect. We're being treated like we have an intellect, we have an imagination. You're not showing us everything. Old school special effects. When I had mentioned old school special effects, like everyone was like, yeah, no CGI, And I think like the human element. I think it's going back to all these things we're seeing that like we like a good story as human beings. We like something that's substantial as opposed to reality TV or it's like, come on, treat us with some respect.
Sure.
Do you see the pendulum swinging back that way? Do you hope more films are going to go that way?
I think, well, and if this one makes money, the financiers will have a reason, right? And yeah, I think that people are saying, I mean, we're seeing it with TV too, the quality has increased.
Oh, sure.
And decreased with reality, but in other ways, cable and stuff has increased. We're seeing we like good things.
So talk to me, Chris, about your nightmares. What did this movie make you dream about?
Well, what blows my mind about this film is that it makes the simple act of clapping frightening.
I saw that.
I don't know how James has done that.
Yeah.
And so I had this weird dream. I lived with my brother, and I thought that
Please tell me he just sat outside your room clapping all night.
No, I thought that he was at the end of my bed clapping.
Yeah.
And I woke up and he wasn't there, and that was the nightmare. That I had.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. That's
Can we-
something. We need to get somebody
Or
in
maybe
here.
my brother was at the end of my bed and he's just playing a prank on me.
Jump down low real quick, knew what was happening.
So the movie's based on a real-life husband and wife pair of demon hunters, right? And this is supposedly one of their lesser-known cases.
Right, and one of their scarier cases,
Right.
which is why it's lesser known.
And am I correct, it was the original inspiration for Amityville Horror for that movie? Is that
It was
right?
before, they did Our House, and then they went
Okay.
to Amityville.
Okay.
Just kind of almost set up at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
isn't
I know,
it?
right? Yeah.
But
Spoilers.
and they're still around, aren't they? The couple.
They are. She was around on the filming.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was great having her around. And she thinks the movie's fantastic.
Is she in one of the really creepy parts for me in the trailer when you're watching it is the husband is talking about that every time she connects with a spirit, she loses a little part of herself. So she like totally just like zoned out now, like.
You know what she's like? She's like a really nice grandma. I mean, I think that's another reason why the movie works is because they're very normal, they're accessible, they're regular people, and I think that's another reason why the movie's working is we can relate. They're not weird or cuckoo, and now she's just a really sweet woman. I mean, a lot of those psychics are actually like surprisingly normal, which is refreshing.
Yeah, well, sure.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it. I wouldn't want to open myself up, Damon.
Nope.
I don't want to do that. You leave yourself open to these things. You don't know what's coming through the door.
And she's played by Vera Farmiga in the movie. And I think what's nice about this film that we don't see too often in horror is that it's a really proper cast of really high-class
Thespians.
actors. Which you don't normally see in horror. Like, I think more and more good actors are being attracted to these kind of projects. So who else? You've got Patrick Wilson is the husband of the team. Ron Livingston's your husband in the movie. Like, this is a really... This could be in some indie Oscar-worthy movie.
Yeah, I know. And that just shows that James is like, yeah, you can have good actors, you can have good acting, good cinematography, good production design. Just because it's horror, why?
Right.
Why do you have to take down the quality?
So
when they came at you and the other actors, was there? I mean, when you get scripts, you're like, another scary movie. Like, do you have to weigh that against the fact that, well, how good is it going to be, kind of thing?
Well, I mean, I love scary movies,
Yeah.
and I do, and I like when they're done well. So I'm open to them for sure.
Okay.
And because it was James, I mean, I thought Insidious was fantastic.
Sure.
I mean, one of the better ones, I think. And so I was down. I was excited.
So what's your favourite scary movie?
I love Rosemary's Baby and Exorcist are the two I try to see every November.
Good
Why
one.
November?
Because well, I'm on the East Coast, so it's a little blustery, a little chilly.
Okay.
I want the feeling right. It used to be October, but
I was going to say, people go for
climate
October.
change. It's a little warmer now. November now has
Okay.
that extra cold that I like.
And what, in your opinion, makes a good scary movie?
Well, I think a lot of it's that stuff that you can't see and the imagination. I think if our imagination gets a chance, forget it.
Now remember, viewers, you can be part of the show by tweeting us at IGN. One of our viewers, Juan Gutierrez, did. Can we get that up on the monitor
It's
here?
going to come. Don't worry about it.
He wonders about The Conjuring. He wanted to know is it full of pop-out scares?
about scares.
Is it
Kind
like
of
is
jump
it
scares.
yeah? Is it are they going for the like you open a door and or is it like
It's
more?
deeper than that. I don't even think you can sum it up like that, right?
That's what I want to hear.
I think it's similar to Insidious in that way, where it's a combination. There are elements of that in the movie. I remember the score and the soundtrack being fantastic, and that's scaring me at some
Audio is
points.
very important in a horror movie, right?
I think James really nicely combines all the different kinds of scares, and there's disturbing imagery, little things in the background that kind of stay with you and you can't get out of your head. And there are the odd jump scare, but I think it all kind of combines to make.
It's really complex. I've seen the movie 4 times, and I still can't articulate what he's doing.
Really?
Why it's so good. I'm trying, and I'm thinking like, okay, pattern. I got the pattern. And then I'm like, oh, what's he doing? It's brilliant. He has a lot of these where you're like, oh, phew, and then it's like wallop.
It's a mood as well he creates, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
And it's kids in peril as well. Little kids in peril, that's always freaky.
Yeah.
So every emotional, every little thread he can, he's pulling at.
So you said you watched it 4 times.
Yeah.
Have you watched it with many audiences?
I've seen it with 2 audiences.
And what's
a premier audience, which doesn't quite count, but I did see it with an audience in San Francisco, and that felt more like a screening thing.
So what was that like?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, and I do want to see the Midnight one tonight at Comic-Con. I mean, it's like a ride. I mean, that's the whole thing, is the collective thing, is to see a horror movie with everybody, right?
Yeah. And I've stood with James at the back of a screening of one of his films before, and it's funny. It's like standing with a director of a comedy. Like, he's just standing there at the back laughing every time there's a scream or people jump or people are freaking out or going to the toilet because they can't deal with it. He's at the back there laughing at it like, I don't know, like he's
It takes
watching
a
a comedy.
special kind of sadist to make these films and see people like Damon and I tortured.
Yeah. Greg and I like to go to the horror movies together so we can hold each other.
Yeah.
Then you go home and sleep with the lights on.
Yeah, sometimes I do. After Paranormal Activity, I totally did that.
Totally.
Yeah. Lily, thank you so much for joining us today. The
Thanks.
Conjuring looks awesome.
Yeah, can't
Great.
wait.
We're really excited to see it.
All right, thanks.
Always a pleasure, Chris.
Always.
Always.
The Conjuring is in theaters tomorrow.
That's soon,
Yeah.
Damon.
Yeah, that's really
This
soon.
gosh darn Comic-Con, all these parties I gotta go to.
I know. What else? What's coming up next on our show here, Greg? We're going to be... Who are we talking to next?
I don't know.
Later up
So-
on the
so
show,
you're
we've got
gonna tell
Slash
me.
coming up on the show.
We got Slash, we got Ender's Game, you got Octodad coming up. There's so much stuff packed into this show, Damon. It's not just movies. It's not just games. It's not just comics, ladies and gentlemen. It's everything nerd, everything popular arts, everything Comic-Con.
It's true. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a few moments.